Hey everyone, welcome to The Path of Me. I'm your host, Wendy Hutchinson, and I have the lovely Christina Meade with me. She is the founder of the nonprofit Nerdy Girl Success. Welcome, Christina.
Hey, thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much for joining us. Tell me a little bit about your nonprofit. What's your mission statement? What are you trying to accomplish with your nonprofit organization, and what's the community that you serve?
Awesome. Thank you for asking. So, Nerdy Girl Success, we work primarily with high school girls, but it's high school into college age young women. Our mission is about changing the landscape of leadership. So, really helping those young women of diverse backgrounds grow into the decision making positions across all industries. So, in entrepreneurship, in government, in politics, in law, in the arts, everywhere. Just getting more representation of women of all kinds into those decision-making positions.
And how long have you guys been in business? When did you start?
I'm super excited because we are going to be 3 here in just a couple of weeks. So August 2018 was when we got our official paperwork declaring Nerdy Girl Success a 501c3.
Awesome. I see your little kitty in the back, and it's
Yes.
just cracking me up right now.
I know. I'm like, Liberty is, yes,
making an appearance.
Yes, exactly.
Well, what inspired you to start Nerdy Girl Success? What was going on in your life where you're like, I need to do this and I'm going to make this happen?
So I was a teacher for 16 years. I was in education, middle school, high school, science teacher, went into admin a little bit in 2011. The position that I had at the time, so sorry, the position I had at the time was actually being dissolved. I didn't realize when I took the position that it was only a 3-year job. So I was like, oh, well, all right. I know. So I had the option to either return to the classroom, or my husband a couple years ago had started his own videography company. And so I could go and join him and try to help him grow that. So I decided to, though I knew nothing about videography, I knew nothing about owning a business, to go ahead and help him. And so when doing that and realizing that I knew nothing about owning a business, running a business, or anything, I started trying to find books and things like that, and role models to kind of look towards as some kind of guidance in what I should be doing, how to do it, that kind of thing. And it didn't really take me very long before I started noticing a lack of people who looked like me in some of those upper leadership positions, running the big companies and everything. Not that I thought that we were a big company, but just was looking like, if I want to go there, trying to find that there, and not really seeing it, and kind of getting frustrated from it, and reading books, and all these business books were quoting men. And I was like, well, surely there's some women out there that you can quote too. I mean, just something as simple as that. And then just through having conversations with people and just reflecting on, my upbringing and things, and remembering situations that happened with my mom. Like I remember being a little girl, my parents got divorced when I was in grade school. And I remember very vividly listening to my mom on the phone, trying to get a credit card and a bank account in her own name.
That was almost impossible back then.
Yes, back in the 70s, it was just, that was crazy. So remembering that, and stories that my mom had told me about, like things that had been said to her by teachers and counselors because of the fact that she was a girl, and then thinking about like situations happened to me that were very similar when I was in high school, when I was in college, and then also seeing behaviors of the girls being different. Like a lot of times seeing the female students holding themselves back
yeah.
In an attempt to be liked by their peers, holding back some of that smartness, I know the answer, that kind of thing, and playing that, the quote unquote, the, nothing against blondes, but playing the quote unquote dumb blonde, again, to try to be popular, to for people to like them or whatever. And so And started doing research on, things of that nature and getting more and more frustrated. And my husband finally was like, well, what are you going to do about it? I was like, what am I going to do about it? I'm going to do something about it. What am I going to do about it? So, and he wasn't being like a smart aleck. He really was
No,
like
he
trying to
was like,
like,
you can change
yeah,
the narrative here.
exactly. So, took some time to think about like, what is it that I see that's out there? Importantly, what do I see that isn't out there? What is the end result for me? And then what skill set do I have that I feel that can contribute to what's missing and what I think the end result needs to be. And so just having been in education, and where I was through my experience of what I saw and through the research that I'd seen, just like the knowledge that that's when girls are kind of falling back rather than stepping into,
Mhm.
falling back a little bit, pulling themselves back, and just saying like, okay, well, I'm good at curriculum and those kinds of things, and that's, teenage years are kind of my wheelhouse.
Mhm.
And so I don't really see anything. Like, I see organizations that are out there that do STEM related kind of activities and teaching girls about STEM careers for young women. I see leadership organizations, things like Girl Scouts, that kind of stuff, that are doing, or like Girls Inc., doing that kind of stuff with girls. But I didn't really see anything that was specifically targeting the methodology to get women into those decision making positions and helping create that pipeline, starting them in the high school, working into college where we're supporting them in college. And then our design is to actually be supporting them into finding the companies that have the philosophy of not just checking the box, okay, like, all right, well, we've got our quota for women hires, so
Mhm.
done. But they have that philosophy of like not just bringing them in, but then supporting and helping them grow into that
Or
leadership.
corporate culture that supports women in leadership.
Exactly. Exactly. So that's the design for how we are planning on changing the landscape
This
of
is so
leadership.
huge because you started with an idea and now you have a podcast defining her story. You're doing workshops, you have summer programs. Tell me a little bit about the summer programs that are available for your girls.
Well, as of late, they haven't been what they were when we initially started. Because when we initially started, we had the camp that I can't wait to bring back, which is the summer business camp for girls.
Mhm.
And it's a week-long camp where we actually take girls from concept to running their business for a day, and they learn different aspects: marketing, the finance, market research, all of those pieces that go into starting and running a business. And at the end, like I said, they run that business together as a collective. But they're learning all of those things from women who have businesses in those different expertise areas. So they not only learn about how to start a business in general, but then they learn about all these other different careers as well throughout that week. So we've got that. What we did this summer is a program called the Career Prep Program. So that's a program where we're having girls, because some of the questions that they came to us with were like, how do I know that, like, I know that this career, like nurse, for example, I know that I have an interest in this, but how do I know that that's actually something that I'm going to be good at, that my personality is going to be one that is conducive to being a nurse, and that kind of thing. And so we actually start out the program where they are doing some research about the career, what all that entails, what are the responsibilities, what's the kind, not just the training, but literally day to day, what are the responsibilities,
Mhm.
taking some assessments of where, with your interest in your personality and things like that, where within these, which of these careers will work well, which ones won't. Um, we've got a couple different tools that they use. They actually get to interview a woman who has the career.
That's
And
so that's so powerful because they
yeah,
get
I
to
was gonna
ask the real
say,
questions and get the real answers.
yeah, and we actually help guide them in understanding what kinds of questions to be asking, not just the typical, like, how much money do you make and what kind of college did you need to go to or whatever, but,
Right.
what do you love about your job? What do you hate about your job? And that's one of the big things that I want them to gain an understanding with is that no matter what job you are going to have, there are going to be aspects of it that you absolutely love, and there are going to be aspects of it that you absolutely hate. So then it's like, so then why do you stay with it? Because we had a lot of conversations with girls where, and even like with a family member, quitting a job because something happened that they didn't like. I was like, well, good luck finding a job where it like checks every single box and that there's nothing that you're not going to like.
You know,
It's
I think
like
the hard
unrealistic.
thing too, I think the hard thing too is when you're dealing with the younger demographic.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have the experience, right?
Yeah.
So they go in with these rose-colored glasses, like, this is going to be, this is what I want, and this is what I'm worth, and I should get paid this, and my environment should look like this. And they're not really aware that you actually have to adapt to the corporate culture. It does not adapt to you.
Exactly. Precisely. You know, and so they do the typical things, you know, learn how to write a resume, fill out a job application. We just actually today had their mock interviews, and everything. And then it culminates with, this is the first time that we're going to be doing this. I'm super excited that one of the girls is we're going to be giving our first monetary award to one of the participants. So pretty excited about that.
That's super cool. That's incentive.
Yeah. So, so I'm, like I said, I'm excited about it. So that's a great program that we've got going on during the summertime. We're, 2022, I'm looking forward to bringing back some of the other camps where we're teaching.
Great when it can be in person and not so virtual, yes. And you can actually have more one-on-one. I think Zoom is a great tool, but then, you know, there's something about being physically in person and physically getting the girls together and mm-hmm. mentors and things. So there's a different kind of dynamic and chemistry.
Oh, absolutely.
Tangible and real, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I want to dial it back. I want to kind of go back to, you know, your childhood. What was it like for you growing up? What are some of the skills that you have now that you developed through your own personal experience, you know? And we all have our history, right? That leads us to the threshold of who we are today. So just wanted to kind of go there.
Oh, my child. I don't ever remember being called this to my face, but I definitely can see where I probably had teachers who were talking about me in the teacher's lounge.
No.
Calling me, you know, like using words like bossy. I know that like when we lived in, so I'm an Air Force brat. So when I was in school in New Mexico, my best friend and I were in the same class together. And they eventually had to put me in a different class. They had to take me out and move me to a different class.
Really?
Because I was helping her too much. I was becoming, it was the teacher, I guess, in me. Because it was like the color by numbers was, I guess, the straw that broke the camel's back for the teacher. Because we were doing color by numbers. Mm-hmm. And she thought that you colored, like you had to do a math problem. And then that number was then the color, mm-hmm. The answer. And so she thought that you colored just the number. She was like, it's color by number. And so when I get the number, I color the number. And I'm like, no, you color the whole area. Like all this line, you color the whole area. And so we were in an argument like, no, it's color by number. I'm like, yes, you're color. So anyways, so like that was the straw and I got moved to another classroom. But it was so bossy is like a word that would have been used. And I would like to also think that like now I would call it like leadership, but also like some of the other things that I would do is like very thinking outside the box to solve a problem. So it's like my mom tells the story, and I remember doing this too. Again, my mom would give me 2 cookies, one for me, one for Regina. I would go outside with both cookies. I would lick both of them and then ask Regina which one she wanted. I knew she wasn't going to want either one of those. I knew she was going to go and cry to my mom. Mrs. Riley, Christina licked both cookies. Guess what the end result was? I got 2 cookies. Regina got 2 cookies. Hello, I just doubled our cookie number. What are you complaining about? So,
you know what I love about you? I love that you think outside the box, because that was something that was never supported in our generation. You were programmed to fit in the box.
Oh, I don't think anybody was really excited that I was doing things like that.
No, I know that. But what I'm saying is, I think it's so cool that you knew who you were And you allow those characteristics to carry you through your life. And now you're creating a template that doesn't exist because you think outside the box. And you were able to come up with this concept and now turn it into something tangible. And you're helping all these young women.
I hadn't really thought about that, because I know that while I was like that in grade school, when we moved to Ohio, and because of my parents' divorce, I know that I became the exact opposite in school. Middle school and high school, I sat at the back of the classroom.
Were you invisible?
Pretty much as invisible. Well, in school, I was as invisible as I could be. I sat in the back of the classroom. I read a book.
Was it because you were new? Because I know you moved a lot.
No, because we were in Akron from the time that I was in, I think it was 3rd or 4th grade, until I graduated college.
What do you think switched? Like, what do you think happened?
I know that I was
front and center. You kind of.
I wasn't with other Air Force brat kids.
Mm.
I was picked on a lot. Like I was seen as the outsider, because I had an accent. I was even sent to speech therapy because I had a Southern accent.
What?
I know, you can't hear.
Are you serious?
I'm not kidding you. I'm not kidding you. I was sent to speech therapy because of my Southern accent. So I had teachers that were doing that to me. I had, the kids would pick on. I was I would have picked on me too, probably. As a kid, I probably would have. No, wait until, so when I was in grade school, all of my baby teeth weren't falling out. And so my adult teeth were coming in. So do you remember the cartoon Fang Face? So I was called Fang Face because I had the two, my canines were coming down. So they had to pull all of my baby teeth, and they did it all at once. Dude, all in the front too. Super stellar. Oh, let me tell you something. Oh wait, it gets even better. If you think that's bad, it gets even better. Because so then I had to wear braces, and they were those old train track braces, the whole metal bracket.
Yep.
Every single tooth. Dude, it was awesome. I got to wear the night brace, only not nighttime, 24/7.
Oh.
It gets better. Oh wait, it gets better. And then I had the chin strap.
No.
Also a treat to get to wear that 24/7.
Oh my God.
And then you can't tell now, I had red curly hair, of which my mom, God love her, nobody in the family had naturally curly hair. So she didn't know what to do with it. So I've got this head strap. So there's this of hair coming.
Christina.
So again,
wow.
I would have made fun of me.
These were adverse circumstances. These were really adverse circumstances.
Other kids had it worse, I can assure you. But it's just that's where, again, I can see that I pulled back because everybody was making fun of me. I didn't like the right boys, all of that. So just pull back. I had a 1 point for this was one of the stories I used to tell teachers or parents when they would be worried about their kids and their grades. I'm like, they're going to turn out fine. I had a 1.4 GPA the majority of my high school career. I'm until midway through my junior year in high school, I had a 1.4 GPA. I didn't do any of the homework. I didn't do any of the classwork because I could pass the quizzes and tests. And my philosophy was, if I could pass your quizzes and tests and I haven't done that, I don't need to do your homework.
Right.
Thank the good Lord that was back when a D would pass you on to the next
grade. I know, right? Oh my God. Oh my gosh. But I think we all have our stories, right? We all have those stories.
Yeah. Like I said, that was my persona in high school. Mm-hmm. I was in church. Mm-hmm. And so I was in a church youth group, entirely different personality. My personality that I was when I was in grade school, in New Mexico and stuff like that, that was the personality that came out. I felt like I was able to be who I was with my church youth group. Mm-hmm. And so that's where I really shined. So it was weird. I was two different people depending on where I was.
Wow. I think we all just are glad we survive it.
Right.
Because those are rough years.
They are.
And I love that you're targeting that demographic, because I think one of the hardest things when you're going through that stage of life is trying to fit in and just survive.
Oh yeah.
I was not one of the cool kids. I was bullied. I was the smallest. Yeah, it was really hard. It was really hard. My sister and I were the only Asians, the first Asian kids in an all-white school in Oregon.
Oh, and oh my
Can
word,
you imagine
Oregon.
the
Wow.
bullying
I
that
can't even
happened? It was
imagine.
insane. So, you
God love you
kind
for
of
surviving that.
yeah, it's amazing, but those experiences are so painful, but they kind of make you stronger. But then they also create these survival patterns. Like I got really good at being invisible.
Oh
Like
yeah.
you just want to be invisible. Like you just don't want anyone to talk to you or notice
Mm-hmm.
you, or you just want to get through your day and get home,
Yeah,
without incident.
exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
So it was I could really relate to some of this on so many levels. But I love that you're offering these workshops and encouragement, support, and empowerment to these young women. I think I could have really used a safe space like that to really thrive and really be myself and really have role models for me that told me it's okay to own your power. It's okay to know who you are and go after your dreams.
Absolutely. And that's one of the other things that within doing this and working with this particular age group is that it's like I wish there had been something like this for me, and for
100%.
and like for my friend Holly, I mean, who just she had great dreams of going to New York culinary schools and becoming a world-class chef and everything like that, and you know and didn't, you know and a lot of it had to do with, I think, the way our school counselor interacted with her. So,
Mm-hmm.
so yeah.
My school counselor told me I should be a forest ranger. I was like, great job. Good job with that.
Okay,
Thanks. I think
sure.
I'll go to college and do something else.
I'm sorry, because like I'm picturing
I'm
you
like,
with
where
like
did that come
when
from?
you said that I'm like trying to picture you with like the hat. No disrespect to forest rangers, but I'm like, but you in a forest ranger uniform. I'm like, I just can't
And
see
not to mention that I'm very small and I would probably get eaten by a bear because
that.
I'm like 5'1". Okay. And I don't run that fast. So it's probably
I
not
have no desire to be outside, but other than that,
not a good idea. But yeah, it's just really interesting to me how our lives end up shaping who we are as adults, and a lot of coming forward and being fully our authentic selves has to do with unwinding and getting rid of all that old programming
mm-hmm.
from our childhoods that told us that we weren't good enough, smart enough, whatever it was, right?
Mm-hmm.
That we needed to fit in these very specific boxes and follow these very traditional paths and careers
Yeah,
as women.
absolutely.
So I love that you're breaking the mold. And I feel like times are really shifting, like the divine feminine is rising. I feel like there are a lot of people coming forward now as leaders and women in our culture and our country that are even the world that are showing up and advocating for young women.
I just
And
hope that it doesn't stop.
I
You
think it's
know,
kind of like a freight train. I think once it gets going and picks up momentum, I think that it's like uncorking the champagne. You can't put the cork back in.
yeah, but sometimes the bottle empties. Like there's been these other waves of like the rise of women and stuff like that. There's been other waves of these in the past, and then we've fallen back. And
Mm-hmm.
so
Mm-hmm.
I'm super excited to see what's happening in the world today. But then it's like I just hope that people realize you can't take your foot off the gas.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like while there are things that are happening, it's like there's still, while we've come this far, it's like we still have ways to go to make this be the norm
Well, this is
of,
why you're doing what
yeah.
you're doing with Nerdy Girl Success. This is why you are showing up and creating this, model and template, which hopefully you can introduce around the country or see growth. People can take that template and then it can grow and expand and reach more people.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah.
That's what we're working on. Yep.
So tell me about your podcast, Defining Her Story.
So it started out with us being a group of women talking about different hot topics and that kind of thing. It's currently taking a little bit of it's starting to take a little bit of a shift. Still talking about like hot topics and things, women's issues and highlighting women and their accomplishments. But we are starting to incorporate more of our teen volunteer committee in participating in that, in being the ones who are creating the what's the topic going to be and actually doing the actual interviewing within
Really?
that.
That's
So
cool.
we're working on that. We had we had a pandemic spur up in the middle of that,
Hmm.
and then graduations and schools and stuff like that. So we're getting ready to refocus again with that, and then having some of the young ladies who are going to be actually taking more control over the podcast um, than me. So which is nice. You know, I'm really one of the things that I want to do with Nerdy Girl Success is to have it be not just an organization for young women, but an organization that is run as much as possible by the young women. Our teen advisory board, they determine a lot of the programming that we're doing and the topics that we cover within that, as well as like they're doing our blog posts as well, and again talking about the podcast and everything. So really trying to get them involved.
This is going to be a great experience for them to put on their resume at some point.
For sure.
They're working with you, so it's so beautiful. You're giving them all this opportunity, you know.
Well, and it makes it so that way it makes it much easier for me to be able to to get other things accomplished as well. So
What's it been like to transition from, a very structured teacher environment into becoming an entrepreneur yourself?
I did not realize how much I needed that structure, to be honest.
Surprise.
Surprise! So, yeah, I mean, like that is because it's a very regimented. You've
Mhm.
got this much time to teach this. You've got these are the things you've got to cover, all of that, to being the dictator in essence of your schedule of like, what are you going to do today? What are you working on? Are you working on the right things? Like that's a big thing that I struggle with is like, am, is what I am working on today really something that is moving me and the organization forward? Or is this just me sitting here doing something that like it's something that needs to be done, but it's also, is it really the thing that needs to be done like right now? Kind of thing. So
Yeah.
that is something that is, I think, a challenge for anybody who's running their own kind
I
of thing,
think
being
many
nonprofit, whatever.
entrepreneurs can get really focused on being busy
Hmm.
but not productive.
Yeah,
So you feel like
it's super
you did
easy
all
to
this
do that.
stuff, but you didn't really move forward, like you said.
Exactly. I mean, and again, when you're starting something out and you're new, you are wearing all the hats, and so everything seems like it has to be done right now. Um, and at the end of the day, like you've checked off all of your stuff on your to-do list, but you aren't any farther ahead than you were yesterday or last week. And that's where it's just kind of like, oh,
And how do you create
yes.
space for your own self-care? I know in the middle of this, was it right before the pandemic, you moved your mom and grandma in with you.
Hmm.
So that was um, an adjustment, I'm sure.
That was, God, that was an adjustment for everybody. So they were living in Akron, Ohio, in the house that my grandmother was born in,
Oh my
that four
gosh.
generations had lived in.
Oh my gosh.
We had been in the family for 100 years. So, yeah, so like that was a whole ordeal of how do you determine out of 4 floors and 100 years worth of stuff, 100 plus,
Oh my
what
gosh.
things come and what things don't. And again, from essentially a 3 bedroom house to a 2 bedroom house with 4 people in it, you know. So that was an adjustment. It was an adjustment for me because again, we didn't have any kids, so it's kind of like all of a sudden I've gone from I can do whatever I want to do on a day-to-day basis to no, you can't, because now you're being you're a caretaker now and everything, and trying to make sure that like helping them get doctor's appointment, set up with doctor. I'm like, everything had to be done. Bank accounts, doctors getting set up, new health insurance, all of those kinds of things, and
Oh my
stuff that I
gosh.
just was like, I didn't even think about, so it was an adjustment for everybody, and again, and then, then on top of that, you throw in a pandemic.
I know. How did you create space for yourself and your own sanity? Because here you are, now you're confined, limited
Yeah.
to the house with them, and they're older, so you have to be so careful about taking them anywhere.
Oh,
And
we
they're
didn't go
and
anywhere.
they're going stir crazy, right? Like,
Mhm.
how did you manage that?
Um, Honestly, um, there was there was zero time for self-care. There was none. Because every day, it's getting up. I would have maybe, I'd have a couple hours before they were up. But that's a time when I have to get any kind of work done. So, I'd have a few hours in the morning, but I mean, that's me getting up, getting dressed, having some breakfast, and going right to work, because then they're going to be up. And so then I've got to go and help my grandmother getting dressed and everything like
Mhm.
that, and helping her get breakfast and all of the things that deal with that, and wanting to be able to spend some time with them. Um, and then getting situated to try to do some stuff in the afternoon. There'd be a couple hours in the afternoon to try to get some more work done before, okay, now it's dinner time, and all of the things that come with that. And then 3 pets to take care of, laundry. And, I'm saying these things and it's kind of like, well, hello, welcome to the most women's worlds, who have kids,
Well, I think
kind
the
of thing.
pandemic was
So,
next level in stress.
yeah.
And I think I probably would have been crying in my closet on many
Oh,
occasions if I was in that situation.
I learned the joys of day drinking. I am not going to lie. I did.
Like,
Unfortunately,
if I can just get through this.
I know, like, until I had a medical issue where I couldn't drink alcohol anymore.
I know. All of a sudden, the universe is like, and you're done with this. We're not going to
That
do this
coping mechanism
anymore.
gone.
You're actually going to have to feel these feelings, Christina. Oh my
Exactly.
gosh. What did you learn about yourself from that experience?
Um, that I can get a lot more done in a day than I thought I could.
Mm-hmm.
And that I'm a lot tougher than I thought I was.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm going to be honest. Well, that, and I think, the resolve or determination that I have for Nerdy Girl success was tested on a daily basis, because I'm not kidding. Like, I would go to bed at night and be like, I'm done. I quit. It's too hard. Like, I'm done. I'm just going to chalk it up, whatever, done. And the next morning I'd wake up and be like, all right, okay, so what do I got to do now? Okay, this has got to be done for Nerdy Girl, that kind of thing. And I've got,
Yeah.
and so just realizing that how ingrained that is in me, and how important that is to me. So, because there were even times, like, up until then, where my husband was like, oh no, it's like, look, you've got this, or whatever. Because there's always times when you're doubting yourself.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, but there were even times when my husband was giving me permission, like, look, if you need to, you've got a lot on your plate. So if you need to, it's okay to step away, and I'll support you with that. So,
He sounds like an amazing guy.
he is an amazing
I
guy.
mean,
He doesn't get told that enough.
invited your mom and your grandma in.
Hmm.
He supported your journey, creating this
Oh yeah,
nonprofit and all of the demands of that.
absolutely.
And it's pretty incredible when you find a partner like that in life.
It is. I have been very fortunate. That's for sure. He's, like I said, I don't think he gets told often enough um, how awesome I think he is, and how grateful I am for him.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Well, you're
So,
pretty awesome yourself, by the
well,
way.
thanks, man. Thanks. I don't feel like it most days, but thank you.
So how are you going to incorporate more balance in your life? I know that things are opening up a little bit. Are you able to get out once in a while with a friend? Are you able to create a little more space and balance?
Um, I haven't, I'll be honest, like, getting out with friends and things like that has been something where I've still felt nervous about doing not so much, I mean, there's a little bit of like a little COVID kind of hesitation, but um, more with my mom and just being afraid of her physical safety if I'm gone, kind of thing. So, and I know that I think gets on her nerves a lot.
It's
That I'm
like,
not getting
no,
out.
Christina, really go out. Go have some, make a phone. In fact, what's the number? I'll call your phone.
Exactly. Exactly. So, and I have, I think I have a workaholic personality as well, where it is far easier for me to sit down and to work than it is for me to take time off. Like I know, so before we started and we were having a conversation, I told you like I'm crispy fried, burnt out right now. And so like I recognized that last week and I'm like, okay, as I'm working on my schedule, okay, I just got to get through July 30th. If I can make it to July 30th, I am taking 2 weeks off. The first
If
2 weeks
you're
of
already
October.
crispy, that seems like a long ways away, actually. You know?
But I was like, I had already, before I was really recognizing that I was crispy fried, I had already set these appointments and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, get through that, and then 2 weeks. But I know for me, it is going to be very hard for me to not work on
Unplug.
stuff. Yeah, to not find time to to work on something because there's stuff that has to be done. You know,
You know the
there's
thing about that? It's always there.
exactly. But see, but then like for me, like I get anxious because it's like, yes, it's always there, but then like things that are always there pile on top of one another. And so like that's the thing that gives me like if I don't get it done, yeah, I know it's still going to be there, but there
Mm-hmm.
were 12 other things on top of it.
But you know
So
what
like
I realized? I had this big aha moment at the beginning of the year. It was a really big aha moment, and it was that I'm actually the captain of my ship. Like I get to create
mhm.
the timelines, and I can actually adjust and shift things. Like I used to be like that. Like I'd be like, oh my God, I gotta, do. I got all this stuff. And then it dawned on me. It was like this really big awareness that, oh, actually I'm in charge of my life because I'm an entrepreneur and I can create my schedule. Oh, it was like this big revelation to me. It wasn't like I had to be at an office, and
Yeah,
cranking stuff out. So I think it's okay sometimes to give yourself permission to breathe.
yeah. I need
Oxygen is
to.
important.
Yeah,
Yes.
got to put your mask on first.
Put your mask on first. Because when you're depleted, it's so hard to show up at 100%.
Exactly.
But I found kind of when I found more balance and I created more space, I was able to really, um, instead of pouring from an empty cup, I was able to pour from the overflow.
Mm.
I had more balance and I had more um, just flow and synergy in my day-to-day life. So I was really good at running myself down before. And that's when you get sick or you get, more stressed because you're tired
Oh
and
yeah.
that.
And
So
just the creativity is not there, and there's some things that it's like we've not had a great July. And so it's kind of like I think had I been a little bit more on my game, I
mhm.
would have caught some stuff earlier
Mhm.
and
And
it
it
would have
happens so subtly
yeah.
too. You get so tired and worn down, but it's such a gradual slide
Mm-hmm.
that it's not until you're crispy fried, like you said, that you're like, oh, I might have a problem here,
Like, whoopsie.
but I can't stop.
Yeah, exactly. So that's why again I know that it's going to take and I've even given myself permission of and I've that and trying to like hold myself accountable like I've let people know like just an FYI, I'm taking the first 2 weeks off, so I'm really not going to be responding to things. I have given myself permission that it's like, okay, so there might be like, I might do like an hour of something. Like if I get an idea, if I get a spurt of inspiration, that it's okay to go and like do that little piece or whatever. Then it's like I'm going to set myself a timer. That's it.
I was going to say, then 4 hours later, that's not a
I know,
vacation.
I know. So I'm like, set a timer, write it down, and then move away from it.
Where are you going? Where are you going for vacation?
We're not going anywhere.
Okay, then you need to lock your
I know, that's what I was going to say.
Somewhere.
I know, I've been trying to figure out, I'm like, okay, so I need to figure
right
out.
there.
I know, I'm like, okay, I'm going to turn it off. And then I've been thinking, like, so do I need to have, like, give it to Mike and be like, you need to hide this for the next 2 weeks.
No matter how much I beg, do not give me the laptop.
Give me this laptop.
Don't give me the combination lock for the
exactly.
locker.
Exactly. So,
oh my gosh.
So yeah, but no, there's, my mom's got a lot of doctor's appointments. So, and there's just, go get her hair done, like go and do some things and enjoy one another. So it's not so much that we're getting out of town or anything like that, but it's like, again, we had some doctor's appointments. My mom's got
some normal life can happen.
Yeah, exactly. I just need some normal life to happen.
So I know you recently had your left wrist in a cast.
Oh, I had my whole arm in a cast.
Your whole arm was in a cast?
Yeah, so like from fingertip to armpit.
So what happened? Did you fall or what happened?
No, I didn't fall. So it actually had been off and on bothering me since like last September, and then by March it was a constant pain. And then this is hysterical. Like literally, I was lifting my cat up to put him away. Like we're bringing in groceries, you need to get away. And so like the motion of my doing this to put him up, I felt a snap in my wrist. And so apparently that pain and everything like that was the tendon wearing down. And so that snap was that tendon starting to tear.
That sounds so painful.
Oh, it did not feel good, I can assure you. It did not feel good. And so it's so, but like what's funny is that it's like it was this little tendon like right here, this little tendon. Who knew a little tendon right here would require like a full arm? So like my arm was in a cast like this, and then like my wrist was also bent in towards me, like full arm.
Were you just typing at work like with one finger on one hand? How did you do this?
It was so frustrating because again, I am a very fluent two-handed typer kind of thing. So the hunt and peck was very frustrating. And then I tried doing like Google Docs. You can do voice to text.
How did that work?
You can do that in Gmail. The Google Docs definitely worked better than the Gmail one did. But still, then you're having to go back and fix certain things or whatever. Yeah. Or like I would say something and it like wouldn't type at all. I'm like, argh! So then I'm like yelling at the computer.
Oh my gosh, you were so challenged, but I think it was to make you slow down.
Yeah, I was definitely.
It forced you to.
I was definitely forced to slow down. And again, it gives me too like a different perspective of like one of the things like with that, along with that, I got an understanding of how frustrated my mom must feel, because my mom has debilitating arthritis and so has an issue. So even now, like the cast is off, I'm still having issues with moving the hand, moving the fingers and that kind of thing. So it's giving me a new perspective of how challenging it is to walk through the world with someone who has disabilities. Right. Because like even like when I went to the doctor's office, I'm there with my bright pink cast here or whatever, and the lady is handing me an iPad or whatever to go and fill out a form and wants me to sit in a chair with no table around me or anything like that. And I was like, can I maybe stand here and do this so I have something to put it on and I can do all the stuff with it? She's like, well, you can sit over there in the chair. And I'm like, nice. It's gonna be difficult to try to do that and hold it in my lap because big pink cast, and it was for a mammogram, and so like, oh my gosh, just like the robe to put on, like the robe, like, so I couldn't put my arm through the robe. So then trying to like figure out how I'm gonna like have this around me and not expose the entire household population.
Oh my gosh,
It was
Christine.
like, it was little things. They're like going to going to the bathroom, like, like when you go to bathroom stall, the toilet paper dispenser's on the left hand side, and
Right.
then like the toilet's like really hard.
Oh my,
It was
oh
so,
my
like we're
gosh.
laughing about it now, but I was just like, I'm like, how do people, I'm like, so just getting that perspective of
Yeah. Gives you
how,
a new, like, renewed compassion, right?
absolutely,
For people. There's so many things that we don't think about that are just daily struggles for people.
exactly, or just being able to, it's little things I really get, like I said, my mom's frustration of being able to like open jar, because I still have to be like, so she's got her little drink cup and it's got a little screw lid, and it's like, can you need it, or even like the toothpaste. I'm like, hey mom, could you not tighten it so tight? I can't unscrew.
Oh my
I can't unscrew the
Oh my God.
toothpaste. So really getting like,
Oh my
I couldn't
goodness.
wear tennis shoes, because I couldn't tie them myself, that kind of thing. So having to have somebody tie your shoes for you, when you're a 50-year-old adult or whatever, having to go to somebody and be like, can you tie my shoes for me? Thanks. Or like,
Wow. This
so like
experience really, how long were you in the cast for? 6 weeks?
6 weeks. 6 weeks. I'm 2 weeks out of the cast and still like having like like I said, I can this is
You did a
this
prom with
is
the
I can do
parade
the
wave.
queen wave, yeah. But see, like I can't do like the full queen wave, but like to be able to do that is relatively new to be able to do. Like I'm having to do physical therapy and stuff like that to try to get it back moving again. And so it's um I can't, people who have any kind of disabilities, whether being born with it, or having it happen later in life, I just like, I look at them and I see how like calm they are and how like adjusted they become and that kind of thing. I'm like, that is just
Did it slow
amazing.
you down though? Did it accomplish the goal of slowing you down? Because you are such a go-getter 24/7.
I think I adapted more than I slowed down. I think it temporarily slowed me down, and then I just adapted. I have become a much faster one-handed typer.
So it slowed you down for a hot minute and then it was over.
Exactly. I was
You're
just
like,
like,
you can't take me down, universe.
I
I'm
was
going
just
to
like,
make this happen.
well, because like I said, my thing was because I was getting frustrated, and I was just like, Christina, there are people who have far more challenges than what you've got with just having one hand in a cast, and
Mm-hmm.
they figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
Figure it out,
Oh my God.
So yeah, that was my take on it. Was that definitely for a while I slowed down, but then it's just you're going to hit, there are going to be things that are going to pop up that are going to be challenges. And you've got to figure it out. If this
In
is truly
life.
where you're going,
In
exactly,
life, right?
figure it out.
Yeah.
So,
So what's next for you? What's next for Nerdy Girl? What do you have coming up?
oh, I'm so excited. So things are opening up. So yay, we're going to be getting our clubs back, our in-person events back. And through the pandemic, we've been doing virtual events. We've had girls who have, been attending them from all across the country. And we actually
Awesome.
have a pocket of young ladies in the Chicago area. And
Awesome.
so I know I'm excited. So I just got the thumbs up from the school district there that we are a go for Nerdy Girl Success to do a career and leadership summit end of February, beginning of March in Chicago. So we'll be doing our first out of state in person event in the beginning of
That's so
2022.
exciting.
I am super
Congratulations.
excited for it. I really am. I mean, I'm excited, and that's once we see how to pull that off, that then in turn helps us have the model for how do we do this. Because from that, we're looking to see what Nerdy Girl Success is doing and what the college, not the college, the high school counselors are doing is, okay, what's the interest here? And do we have enough interest to have a Nerdy Girl Success Club there in Chicago? And then once we've got this little funnel done there, it's like now it's just being able to replicate it in other cities.
Right. That's so exciting. Congratulations on that. That's
Thank
so
you. Thank you.
amazing.
We have got a big goal to have 15,000 girls actively participating by 2025.
That's super ambitious, but I know you can hit it. If
Well,
anyone can, you can.
working on it.
So if
So,
anyone wants to donate what is the web address that people can go to make a donation to your organization? I know anything is going to be helpful, right? You guys are constantly creating and building and putting programs together to support your girls. So where can people go?
nerdygirlsuccess.com. And there's the donate button right there. So you can click on donate. We are currently raising funds to do the girls who go through our programs. All of it is absolutely free for them. So food is paid for, whatever materials, t-shirts, all of that kind of stuff is paid for them. They come through the program without having to pay a dime.
That is so awesome. Well, Christina, thank you so much for being such a great guest today. It was wonderful talking to you. Great to reconnect. It's been a while. So I'm really excited about all these new developments for you. I hope you get your hand and your arm back in working order. And
oh, it's there. It's getting there. It's almost there. It's almost there. Like I can almost make the fist. It's almost there.
Like you're so close.
It's working on it.
Oh
again,
my gosh.
Well, it could be so much worse, and I'm glad that it's not. So
I am glad for you too. Well, to my audience, thank you so much for joining us today. It's been a pleasure, and I hope you all take care of yourselves, love yourselves, and we'll talk to y'all later.
Thanks. Bye, y'all.